In this video, we're going to be looking at different markets and how they're structured. And in particular, we're going to be focusing in on the different degrees of competition within different markets for different goods and services, and how that impacts on the efficiency of the market, and ultimately how that impacts on the kind of deal that we get as consumers. So we're going to start by just remembering the importance of competition in the market mechanism and why it's important to have competitive markets.
Why competition is good for business. Businesses compete on things like price, quality and service to win new customers, who could be other businesses as well as consumers. Being competitive can mean more customers choose you rather than your rivals. Where businesses collude and don't compete, this can lower standards of quality and service and mean customers end up paying more than they should. This is a form of cheating and can stop customers from getting a good deal.
So competition is very important. Where it's limited, it means there's less incentive for sellers to improve the quality of the goods and services they're offering, and there's less incentive for them to lower their prices as well. Markets are at their best when all the different businesses, all the sellers are competing for their customers. And they do that by trying to provide the highest quality goods at the lowest possible price. So is that the case in all markets? In all markets, are lots of businesses competing? Well, clearly the answer to that question is no. So that's the focus for what we're learning about in this video. So we can classify markets according to the degree of competition. And when we do so, we think about the number of firms in each market, how easy it is for businesses to come into the market and leave again. Is there something to do with the nature of the product that makes markets different? And what about the nature of the demand curve that is a result of the differences between these markets? So we're going to think about 4 different market structures, and we're going to start today with perfect competition. This is a market structure where there's almost unlimited number of businesses competing with each other. And as we move through the different market structures and get finally to monopoly at the other extreme, in a monopoly market there's almost no competition. Very often there is only one supplier in a monopoly market. So let's get started by thinking about perfect competition. So in a perfectly competitive market, there's an unlimited number of buyers, absolutely unlimited. All the products are identical. Homogeneous is the word that we use. Now in these pictures here, you're seeing things like rice and potatoes, and you might think rice is rice, it's all the same, but actually when we stop and think about it, even things like rice and potatoes, not all products are absolutely identical. We can have different quality, we can have different types to some extent. When we go on an auction website like eBay, we can often see exactly the same products for sale from many different providers, and often they're very close and sometimes they are identical. However, there are still some differences very often as well. Maybe there's a difference in the delivery time or the delivery charge. Maybe there's a difference in the trustworthiness of the supplier. So they're not absolutely identical, are they? If you're buying currency, maybe you're buying pounds or dollars, that pretty much is an identical product, I think, isn't it? A dollar is a dollar is a dollar. You know, they're all pretty much identical. But the point I'm making here is that a perfectly competitive market, which is what we're talking about here, is more of a theoretical construct than a reality. So we use this idea of perfect competition because it tells us lots of things about how the market mechanism works when it's operating at its best. However, it's very rare in reality. So, back to perfect competition. Theoretical, rare in reality, but these are the characteristics. Unlimited numbers of buyers and sellers, identical or homogeneous products, free entry and exit to and from the market. There are very few barriers stopping new businesses come in, or no barriers stopping new businesses come into the market. And equally, it's easy for businesses to leave this market as well. There's perfect information because all the products are identical, so everyone knows everything about the product. All the sellers, all the buyers, we know about the product because they're identical. We also all know about the price because in this market, in a perfect competition, because there are so many competitors, everyone has to charge the same price. Firms are price takers. Think about it. If you're a seller in this market and you raise your price even by £1, all of your customers are going to go and shop elsewhere because they know everything about all your competitors. They know that your products are identical and they know what price everyone else is charging. So everyone's a price taker, and all of the other businesses and the consumers, we all have perfect information. Perfect information is a really key thing because it helps us to make rational choices, and we know that the market works well when consumers can make the best possible choice for them. If we're misinformed and we make bad choices, then the market isn't working well for us, is it? So perfect information is really important because it helps us to weigh up the costs and benefits of anything that we're buying, and it helps us to maximise our consumer surplus. In other words, it helps us to get the best possible deal. And of course, when we have perfect information, then producers have to offer us the best products at the best prices, otherwise they'll go out of business. So, what are all the reasons why perfect information is important? Well, firstly, there are a number of goods and services, products that have risks attached to them. Think about things like tanning salons. Think about things like painkillers and other drugs that we might get addicted to. We need to understand the risks as consumers in order that we can make a rational choice about which is the best product for us. And what about products that are really complex, like degree courses? You know, it's really difficult, isn't it, to choose the best possible degree course for you at the best possible university for you? It's very complex. It would be great if we could have perfect information. And pension schemes, which you've probably not got to yet, but they are incredibly complex to understand. And again, very difficult for consumers to make a rational, good choice, and therefore quite easy for businesses in those markets where there isn't perfect information, quite easy for those businesses not to give us a good deal. And that's not efficient. When we're buying second-hand goods like cars, it's quite difficult for us to know if the engine's going to last, if the engine's going to blow up. What about when we buy food? Do we really know about the nutritional content of those foods? Can we make the best choice? When we employ people to do a job for us, do we know that the work that they're going to do is of good quality? So perfect information is important for all of those reasons, because when we think about an efficient market, we're thinking about a market that works well for everyone. So, what are the advantages and the disadvantages of perfect competition? Well, we've already said competition encourages efficiency, doesn't it? It encourages businesses to offer the best quality, and it encourages them to keep their prices down. So we as consumers benefit from these low prices. Our consumer surplus is maximised. And because there are so many competitors, these businesses in a perfectly competitive market are very responsive to changes in our demand. But there are some disadvantages as well. No business in this market can benefit from economies of scale because there's so much competition that all the businesses tend to be very small. And because the competition is so fierce, every business is only just making a profit. They're only just making enough money to survive. We call that normal profit, just enough to survive. And so there's no profit left for investment. They don't have the profit to invest in future technology. They can't invest in research and development. And so in these markets, there is a lack of those kinds of things. So we're going to end this video there. There are a few questions for you to answer, and in the subsequent videos we're going to go on to look at monopolistic competition, oligopoly and monopoly.